One of the best features about the Canon M50 Mark II is the fact that it has interchangeable lenses. However, you don't need every lens that is offered on the market. That's why in this lens buying guide for the Canon M50 Mark II, I'll be breaking down all the lenses and the best use cases so that whatever content that you are creating, you can get the right lens for you. Let's go.
You gotta just press record.
Hey, what's up? It's Omar with Think Media, helping you build your influence with online video. Based off of anything I say in this video, make sure you check out the description to see special links to all the various lenses, the brands, and things like that that I will be talking about. Now, in regards to the way I'm gonna break down this buyer's guide when it comes to lenses for the Canon M50 Mark II, I'm gonna be breaking it down first by native lenses like the EF-M mount, the lenses that Canon offers, and then we're gonna move into Sigma, then we're gonna talk about some budget options, and then we'll finish out with adapters, which is one of my favorite ways to actually expand the M50 Mark II. And this also applies for any EF-M mount camera. So if you have an M50 Mark I, an M200, an M6 or M6 Mark II, these lenses would apply to you as well. Now, the first native Canon EF-M mount lens I wanna talk about is the actual kit lens that you could purchase when you buy the Canon M50. Now, the kit lens that comes with the Canon M50 Mark II is the 15 to 45 millimeter lens. This is a great universal lens because at 15 millimeters, it's gonna be a nice focal length if you want to start vlogging or if you wanna do talking head videos for YouTube or what have you. But just to know that 15 millimeters is a good focal length. It's kind of like medium wide, I would say. And so one thing about the kit lens, however, is that it starts at 3.5 when it comes to the aperture. And then as you zoom into 45 millimeters, you're going to be at 6.3 in your aperture. And so it's not a constant aperture lens. However, one cool feature is that it does have image stabilization in the lens itself, which is awesome. And so when you pair up the digital image stabilization from the camera, you're gonna get a nice smooth image, removing any jitters if you're vlogging or what have you. The next lens is just a quick notable mention because it's very similar to the kit lens, but that is the 18 to 55 millimeter lens. Just wanted to throw it on the radar. I still would go with the 15 to 45 just because the chances are is you're gonna be using your M50 to film yourself or what have you. And so the next lens I wanted to bring up is probably the best lens if you're going to be vlogging with your Canon M50, and that is the 11 to 22 millimeter lens. This lens will give you that super wide vlog look, and even if you're not vlogging but you're filming yourself in your studio or what have you, having a super wide lens can actually make your space look a lot bigger than it actually is. And so if you even find yourself filming in tight spaces and places, a lens like this would be great. Another reason why I love super wide lenses is because your audio will improve as you bring your camera closer to your face. If you have a mic right on top of your M50 and you have a wide lens, you're gonna get good audio because you'll just naturally get closer to the camera. So that's just something to think about. If you plan on vlogging with the Canon M50, look into this lens. It's definitely worth getting. And what's also cool is it also does have image stabilization on it. So you really have the perfect setup when it comes to vlogging with this lens. The next two lenses I want to talk about are on the more versatile side when it comes to being able to zoom in a lot. And so if you're really far away or if you want to do landscape photography, this is something you want to look into maybe. And the first one is the 18 to 150 millimeter. Yes, all the way from 18 millimeters zoomed out, which is a nice medium wide shot, maybe a little bit tight if you're going to try and vlog with that. But as far as zooming all the way into 150, you're gonna be able to focus on a subject that's pretty far, which is nice. And so all that compression, although it is a variable aperture lens from 3.5 to 5.6, it'll still be okay if you have good lighting. The other lens is a little bit more of a zoom and it starts at 55 millimeters and it goes all the way to 200 millimeters. So if you're really trying to get into landscape photography or whatever content you're creating will require you to zoom in a lot, the 18 to 150 comes in at $500 and the 55 to 200 comes in at $349. And these are all retail prices at the time of shooting this video. So the 5 Canon lenses that I just mentioned all give you the ability to zoom in and out at some level. You're gonna get multiple focal lengths with those lenses, but they all have a variable aperture. Now, if you really want that super blurry background, you're gonna want a low aperture lens. And so the next portion of the Canon EF-M native mounts are the prime lens options. And the first one I wanna talk about is the 22 millimeter lens. This is a very popular lens. They call it the pancake lens. All these primes that I'm gonna talk about are pretty small lenses, but this is at f2. And so Being at f2 will really give you that nice blurry background, and if you don't have a ton of light, that's gonna be okay. You can still stay at lower apertures, but I think a lot of people just want a blurry background. I think the only downside to this prime lens is that f22 on the M50 is a little bit tight if you're gonna vlog with it. So this wouldn't be a lens that you would use to vlog with. I would consider a lens like this to be a talking head lens, as it gives you about a medium shot. Just know that this lens is not the best for arm's length distance, but it is an option and it is a great lens that you can pick up as well. The next prime lens I wanna talk about is the 28mm lens. And so you're getting a little bit more of a tighter shot, as it is a macro lens. It'll allow you to get really, really close to objects. So if you are shooting weddings, or you need to get detailed shots of really tight things, or you shoot maybe nature and you wanna shoot a bee or something on a flower, I don't know. And those are kind of the use cases of a macro lens. And so it is a prime lens at 3.5, but that 3.5 up close to an object will really give you that nice bokeh or bokeh, as people would say. What is it in the comments? Let me know what it is. Is it bokeh or is it bokeh? I don't know. Either way, this is a macro lens, so you wanna buy this if you're doing close-up food photography, weddings, things like that, detailed shots. And then the last prime lens that Canon offers in their EFM lineup is a 32mm lens, 1.4. And this lens comes in at around $480, kind of pricey, but this would be a great portrait lens for your Canon M50 if you plan on doing photography, headshots and things like that, because the 32mm will be kind of close to a 50mm. But I do want to talk about how you can achieve that look for a third or a quarter of that price, but I'll say that toward the end of this video. This next portion though, I do want to talk about is the Sigma line of lenses. And they have 3 lenses that they offer, and the first is, I would consider, the YouTube lens with the Sigma 16mm 1.4 lens. And this lens is, I think, my favorite lens for the Canon M50 when it comes to creating YouTube videos on. It's a $400 lens at the time of shooting this video. It has some nice weight to it, but the focal length of 16mm is kind of equivalent to about 24mm. And so if you're shooting at arm's length distance, or about double arm's length distance, or you're live streaming from that far of your camera, this is gonna be an incredible lens, because that aperture at 1.4 will give you that super blurry background, or even if you keep it at f2, or it's just the focal length mixed with how low that aperture is, will just give you the look you're probably looking for if you wanna shoot talking head YouTube videos from about arms to 2 arms length distance from your camera. And so they have included 2 other lenses, and I would gear these lenses toward photography use. And the first one is a 30mm lens, and that comes in at $290 at the time of shooting this video. This would be a great lens for your general photography if you're doing portraits, or if you're doing family photo shoots and things like that. This is gonna be a good focal length, as it'll probably be around a 45 or so focal length when shooting on a crop censored camera. Now the third lens that Sigma has created is a 56mm 1.4 lens. This is a lens equivalent to about an 85mm lens, which if you do photography, I wouldn't think you need all that many lenses, but the 85mm lens in general is just a great lens for compression. So if you really are trying to get a nice tight, crispy shot, it's gonna be a great lens for you. And all of Sigma's lenses do really, really well on the EFM cameras that Canon offers. And so those are the 3 lenses. The Sigma 16 though, I mean, we got a couple of those around Think Media, because it really is just a really good lens. And I think if you're trying to take YouTube seriously, that might be the lens for you. So we've covered a lot of lenses, but there's still a lot more I want to put on your radar. But if you're getting value in this video, let me know by hitting that like button. Thank you so much. And question for you is, what do you use your Canon for? I think because it has a flip out screen, because it has so many features, you can use this for live streaming, for vlogging, for YouTube videos and things like that. But let me know down in the comments. Would love to know what kind of content you are using. But the next portion of this video I want to talk about real quick are the budget lenses that are offered for the Canon EFM mount. So if you haven't picked up on the idea already, it really is the lens that creates the look you want in the videos or the photos you take with your Canon M50 Mark II. And so with that being said, sometimes you may want autofocus for the type of stuff you are creating. Sometimes you can deal with manual focus because you're locking in your shot, you're not gonna be moving. And so with that being said, you can save some money. And so the first lens I wanna talk about is the newer 25mm 1.8 lens. That's only $70. For only $70, you're gonna get a super crispy shot because of that aperture. However, it is a manual focusing lens. And so, you know, if you are doing live streams and stuff like that, it might be good because you're not gonna be moving from your desk. Or if you're shooting talking head video, you can lock in the shot if you put something in place of where you'll sit or stand. But 70 bucks, you can't really beat it. Newer also makes a 35mm 1.7 for around $70 as well. Also a manual focus lens, but that's gonna give you even more of a tighter shot, closer to that, you know, 50mm or so. The next one is the, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It's like Mikey or Mikey or Meek. It's a 50mm prime lens at f2 and it comes in at around $75, which is awesome, but it's also a manual focusing lens. But this is a great lens if you are doing photos, and you can actually zoom in digitally on your M50 to make sure that you are getting yourself in focus or getting your subject in focus. And also you can use focus peaking to actually ensure that. You can get by with manual focus lenses, and you can get by with a budget, right? If you are on a budget and you want that blurry background, this would be the way to go with these lenses. The next lens is a Viltrox 23mm 1.4 lens that comes in at around $279, and that is because it is an autofocus lens, but having the autofocus ability is nice. The last lens I wanna bring up in regards to other brands that could be found on Amazon is the Rokinon 12mm f2 lens that comes in at around $330, and this is a manual focus lens, so I would say this is on the pricier side for a lens that is manual, but I know what they're trying to do. You know, they're the only lens this wide for the Canon M50 with that aperture. So there isn't an autofocus lens available at that wide of an aperture, but I think a lens like this would be great if you're doing gimbal work with the Canon M50, so if you're doing real estate and stuff like that. Now the next portion of this, I think it's just an honorable mention, and it also lends itself to my favorite use of this Canon M50 Mark II for the use of photography, but that is to look into adapters. The first adapter is the Canon EOS M adapter, and that'll just take your Canon M50 and allow it to be used with the EF world of lenses. There are some budget options when it comes to this kind of adapter. Viltrox makes an adapter, Comlight makes an adapter, Miko Plus makes an adapter, and all these adapters are very similar to the Canon one, and they all come in at right under $40, which is awesome. However, my favorite adapter for the Canon M50 line, or the EFM line of lenses, is the Viltrox Speed Booster adapter. And what I love about this adapter is it turns your Canon M50 essentially,
generally speaking, technically not, but
it turns it into a full frame camera, because there's this glass that's in the middle of the adapter that'll open up your lenses to full frame options. And now you can use Canon EF lenses on this adapter and shoot kind of full frame. And so I love this setup for photography. If you're using a 50mm 1.8, you know, nifty 50 lens with this Viltrox adapter, you're getting the full 50mm out of it, and it also makes your lenses a little bit faster by being able to bump down your aperture a few stops. Now, that might be a lot and a mouthful. We break it down in a video, and you can check that out in the description. We'll post links to it, but I think it's just key to have it in your kit. If you have the Canon M50, I think at a minimum, if you're shooting thumbnails and stuff, the Nifty 50 and the Viltrox adapter is a great setup. And also if you like taking photos of your family and stuff like that. And so with that being said, that covers the extensive lens buying guide for your Canon M50 Mark II or EFM mount camera. If you have a Canon mirrorless crop censored camera, all this could apply to your camera. Let me know down in the comments below what lens really kind of tickled your fancy. Is that weird to say? Which lens really caught your attention? Definitely gotta say the Sigma 16mm is one of my faves, and then that Viltrox adapter with the Nifty 50, one of my faves. And if you wanna check out our playlist on the Canon M50 Mark II, make sure you click or tap the screen, or if you wanna check out another video from Think Media, you can click or tap the screen. I can't wait to see you in a future one. Peace.